Welcome back to this week's vlog. Ingrid is interested. Um, I've got my fancy mic, which I'm probably going to accidentally put on mute at some point. This is just a touch mute button, so I'm going to try and pay attention to the fact that it will turn red at least and stay red if I mute it. Hopefully that doesn't happen because I just want to film this once. I rewatched video one, which, like I explained last time, is kind of the point of these for me, is to start working on my screen presence and get used, like, not just getting used to being on camera outside of, like, what I'm used to for work, but to bring more energy to the screen. I'm sorry, like, for the most part, like, that's just what I'm like. I'm pretty low key, and I do think that that personality style can appeal to some people, even as screen presence, but, Jesus Christ, it was so boring to watch. Like, I watched it through once, just to be vain and look at my appearance, and I was like, okay, well, I look okay on camera. I feel okay about that. Did I mute this? Oh, no. Oh, I hope not. It's very early in. Okay, I gotta be careful where I put my finger. Jesus Christ, I hope I didn't mute all that. Doesn't matter. So, last time, I was so boring, and I know, like, the whole point, like I said, is just so I can start working on this. It was still hard for me to make myself do this again, but, like, today I only had one student at noon. I actually didn't even put on any makeup for that. I woke up late this morning and I had time to shower and stuff, but I was completely makeupless for my one student. He doesn't care. And honestly, like, I didn't care that much today either. Like, most of the reason I put on makeup for work is because I also have to see myself on screen for that hour, and sometimes I just can't look at myself on camera for an hour. Yeah. But anyway, so whatever, I've done my makeup and I have the afternoon off, and I'm very excited because I'm going to be getting probably 2 new piercings today. You probably can't really tell, like, my glasses kind of obscure things, but so last week I did still have my eyebrow ring, and I actually only just took it out today, but if you look at that video, you can see that it doesn't even cross my eyebrow. Part of the reason for that is just I do have a little scar here. Like, you can barely see it, but it does, like, goof around with how my eyebrow hair grows at the edge there. So I thought if I put a piercing there, you know, it would kind of obscure that. But honestly, it's not even that obvious, especially since nowadays I tend to fill in my eyebrows a little with some powder. So whatever. But anyway, so I want to get a Monroe. It's going to be on this side. And then, yeah, I don't know if I want to do the same side with the eyebrow. It doesn't matter. We'll figure it out later. I don't know if I'm gonna, like, have my wife, for example, film, like, while I'm getting the piercing done. I mean, it's, like, I'm not really gonna react. I don't have much of an issue with piercings, if you can't tell. And I know, like, you haven't really been able to see my tattoos on camera. I was wearing a hoodie last time. Probably saw this. Not the stars. I was making sure my eyeliner stamp was, stamping before I just started putting it all over my face. But anyway, so yeah, I do have a lot of tattoos and, you know, obviously the piercings. I try to keep them, like, for as, I don't know, as plentiful as they are. I try to keep the piercings themselves pretty low-key, like just silver studs, you know, a thin silver ring for my septum piercing. The eyebrow ring I was wearing was just little silver studs, and, like, even my earrings, I don't know. Maybe it's just because I do have a lot, and while I don't, you know, feel like I want to hide them, I don't want to have, like, big chunks of metal hanging all over my face, I guess. I don't know. That's just me. That's my personal preference. So, what else? I was gonna talk about something else. Anyway, I mean, yeah, so I I may include a video of me getting the piercing done, just because I barely ever leave the house, so if I'm doing a vlog, I guess I might as well cover instances of me leaving the house, right? So, like I said, I'm using my better camera today. Obviously, I can't show it to you, but it's, I don't know, like, it's not fantastic, but I think this is much better than the, the quality we had last time, and fortunately, I don't think it's so high that I'm sitting here like, why can I see every single pore in my face? Like, nobody needs that. Who needs that? Sorry. Microphone, I'm not used to it. What else? Oh my God. So I've been thinking about getting back into my studies. Like, yesterday, I had a student who, I'm usually like his Spanish tutor, but he didn't have any Spanish homework, when we met yesterday. So, he did go ahead and like work on his social studies, and, it was mostly like a quiet, he's just answering questions about a movie they watched, and, he just, checked in with me occasionally if he needed clarification. The point is, while he was doing that, like, my main textbook collection was just been sitting in baskets here, so I finally decided to take them all out and go through them, separate them, and most of them are actually down on the shelf now, but I do have some somewhere else, and I just don't know where they are. Just in a random box, whatever, but these are the main ones that I'm concerned about. The majority of my German and Spanish textbooks, because those are my working languages, and then I have like some Russian stuff, Middle English, Old English, Ancient Greek, and I have Latin textbooks somewhere. I'm not sure where they're at, but I haven't really gotten into studying Latin yet. I just have the textbooks. I know some things about the language, whatever. I guess, now that I've talked about tattoos and piercings, we're going to talk about one of Ingrid's biggest interests. So I know, especially with today's, look, I guess, I probably am not the sort of person that, one would expect works in academia, right? Like, and granted, I don't usually, go quite this crazy. I mean, part of it is like lip stuff. Like, this is good. It's Tarte lip paint. So I trust it a little bit more to like hang out on my mouth for a period of time. But anyway, like, my adult students don't really care. And I know, like, for my younger students, like, I mean, a fair few times, obviously, I've interacted with their parents on camera as well. And it always makes me a little nervous because I'm afraid they're going to see the piercings, depending upon what I'm wearing that day, if a tattoo is showing. It's literally never come up. Like, I've been with this agency, I'm realizing, for almost 3 years now. Yeah. And, that has never been an issue. Like, nobody has ever complained about my appearance. And again, like I said, I don't really like goth it up that much, but I wore this shirt, yesterday, my fishnet skull and crossbones. I think it was under a black t-shirt, but still, it doesn't matter. I'm supposed to be talking about language. So I, am primarily a language teacher, tutor, instructor, whatever, however you want to put it. Like, I don't have a teaching degree. I think that's why, I kind of take issue with calling myself a teacher. But I am an instructor. I'm certainly an educator. I really like my job. And like I said, I know I don't look like somebody who, would be really into academia, much less the pedagogy side of it, right? Like teaching other people, young people, but it turns out I'm actually good at it. I never would have thought that I'd be good at teaching, but honestly, I think the things that make me good at it are the fact that I remember a lot of the struggles I had, with learning the things that I'm now teaching, and I remember coming up against like certain concepts where I struggled and I struggled and I struggled with it. And it wasn't until like I saw different examples of the concept or had it described a different way. Like sometimes with grammar and that kind of thing, you just need to keep trying, honestly. But anyway, so whatever, like, I'm used to that kind of thing, so it legitimately just doesn't irritate me when people are struggling. Like, I'm sure you can imagine so many people, like, when they are struggling with a concept academically, like, already their confidence is kind of shaken because they don't, like, learning a language essentially is just like being okay with feeling stupid the entire time. Like, that's been my experience. And it's fine. Like, it literally is just part of it. Like, you just have to keep messing up, and you have to learn to be okay with messing up, and that's hard in the academic setting where you have a grade to worry about. So I think that's also part of why I work well for my job as it is. Like, I am not comfortable standing up and talking in front of groups, and beyond that, like, I don't know how to help people who don't want my help. And if you work for the public school system, for example, or even a university, like, the fact of the matter is, a lot of people, especially since, likely, say I wanted to teach at my college, like, I am technically qualified to do that. I could teach, like, Spanish 101, that kind of thing, but at the end of the day, the majority of students taking that kind of class are taking it as a gen ed, right? Like, they know they're not in there because they love foreign language or because they love Spanish. They're in there because they have to be if they want their degree, right? So, I don't know. I don't think I can handle that kind of pressure. In addition to the fact that I'm just uncomfortable in front of groups, and I'm okay with that. Like, this is whatever, obviously. Even when I teach, like, larger groups, like, it is more uncomfortable for me than working with somebody one-on-one, or even just, like, I've worked with married couples before who wanted to learn Spanish together, stuff like that. Like, that's fine. I'm always nervous the first time I meet a new student. I'm talking more about my job than language at this point. So let me just kind of tell you how I started learning, when, and just the whole journey. So in middle school, for me, that was Jesus Christ. So I graduated high school in 2007. So we take that back 3 years, or 4 years rather. I probably started high school about 2003, I think. Oh, I know this. I was in 7th grade for 9/11. So that's what we're looking at time-wise. So it was around this time, like 6th grade for me. I started getting online more, and again, in this time period, like, I think at this point we probably still had dial-up internet. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with. And then, so, like, this was also the time when, like, Napster wasn't even illegal yet. Like, like, I don't think, I think, like, a lot of people were like, oh, we don't really want people just sharing and downloading the stuff for free, do we? But, like, nobody was doing anything about it legally. It was just, I think they managed to shut down, like, one or the other of these companies, but it doesn't matter. So I was exploring new musical tastes, and I came across Rammstein, which the genre itself, which is metal generally, rock, whatever, it appealed to me, but I couldn't, like, listen to these people singing and have no idea what they were talking about. It drove me absolutely crazy. So I got onto the internet of pre 9/11 days, and I did manage to find translations of the Rammstein songs, which helped me start learning a little bit of German. I wasn't able to take, like, lessons, classes until I got to high school. I took a little bit of French when I was in middle school. I really, especially now, with more time and just more experience. I know I'm looking down, by the way, like, I'm looking at myself on the screen, but my camera's, so sorry, just deal with it. Like, so yeah, I have studied some French. I don't really care for the language. Structurally, it's fine. It's really not that different from Spanish, and it's definitely easier than German, but It's obnoxious. And here's the thing, I'm not even talking about the French people, okay? Like, I have really truly met one French person that I can recall in my life. She was an exchange student. Weirdly, this was also in middle school. And she was perfectly lovely. She complimented my accent, and she was just a sweet person. So I don't have anything to say about the French people, honestly. I know a lot of other people do, but I haven't met enough. I do not like their language, though. The silent letters, man, like, English pronunciation is already so just obnoxious, right? Like, we don't, as English speakers, we don't have to think about it very much, but if there's anybody out there whose second language is English, I am so sorry. Like, I am grateful that I got to just grow up speaking this language, like, took the easy way into it, or got the easy way into it. It does put English speakers at a disadvantage in some ways when trying to learn other languages, but I cannot imagine trying to learn English as a second language. Doesn't matter. Back to French. Actually, this is funny though. So, this is showing, like, how deep into language, like, I am, and I like to get sometimes. So, the funny thing about English is, like, the reason it sucks so much is actually in large part because of French. So, like, if you look at Old English, some people, like, you hear Old English, or they hear Old English and they think Shakespeare. First of all, the horrifying thing about that is Shakespeare actually spoke modern English. It was early modern English, but it was modern English nevertheless. So that is why, actually, even though a lot of what he writes is confusing, it's very rare that we come across words that just flat out don't exist in nowadays, like, now, modern English, right? Current English. So Old English was spoken roughly between, like, 500 and, I want to say, 1060, Common Era, right now, after the year 0, I guess. And that language does not look like English. Like, there are a handful of words throughout Old English that are, in fact, still used today. What are they? I don't remember because I haven't studied it enough, but it is one of the languages I'm working on because I think it is fascinating. But the thing is, when you look at Old English, the language that Beowulf was originally written in, it, like, A, has characters that we no longer use. They have the goofy little A that's attached to the E. They've got a weird looking D thing that looks like a bomb or something. Like, it's like a weird swirly. I'll probably try and put an image on the thing if I can, but anyway, so you're looking at this, and first of all, you're like, I don't really know how to pronounce these, but also none of these are real words. This cannot be the English language, which is and isn't true, right? I mean, all language, like, French used to be Latin. Did you know that? French was Latin. That's why it's a Romance language. Like, any Romance language is a descendant of Latin, right? So Spanish, Italian, Portuguese, French, Romani. I am positive there are others, but those are the main ones that I can think of off the top of my head. All of those used to be Latin. It's just as Latin speakers spread out, and the Latin language in those individual areas was affected by whatever language was then around them. That's how the diversion begins, right? Like, how French becomes French and Spanish becomes Spanish. So I forget, like, the name of the people who mainly influenced the French language away from Latin, but I do know that a lot of what makes Spanish, I guess, different from Latin, or has changed Spanish from Latin to what it is today, was actually the Arabic language because of the Moorish occupation in Spain for a long period of time, which is very similar to what I'm talking about with the English language and French. So the Moors took over, right, in Spain. I don't remember when, but for several centuries, unless I'm mistaken. Now, in England, what happened was the French, William the Conqueror, came over, I want to say, like, he won and took over in, like, 1066. And so at that point, the language of the government became French, right? It didn't mean that nobody, like, spoke English anymore. Like, just because new people who speak another language take over does not mean that you, the common person, now knows that language, right? But what it did mean was that a lot of French was now creeping into English, was now intermixing with English, right? So if you consider the word enough in modern English, okay, Enough. Now, here's the funny thing. So, I forgot to mention earlier that in Old English, all right, before Willie the Conqueror shows up in 1066, English and High German of that time, so Old English, Old High German, were so similar that just like, like Portuguese, Italian, Spanish speakers can often understand each other fairly well, maybe not perfectly, but like I understand Italian, not perfectly, but I understand quite a bit of a language that I've never studied in my life because I speak Spanish, right? So it was like that with English and German. English is, in fact, a Germanic language. But anyway, so that's where we started. That's kind of what was going on, and that was still roughly what was going on when Will showed up, William the Conqueror, French boy. And he took over, right? Now he's king, and now, like I said, the language of the government is French. And back to the reason I even brought German up for this and the word enough. So the German word for enough is genug, and it is Genug, genug. Is a little closer. Like, my German accent is not perfect. I'm working on it. But, so genug and enough, right? Now, spelling wise, if you write those out, Genug for genug, and hopefully we know how to spell enough, but I can't say I'd blame you if you didn't. They actually used to have very similar pronunciations, though. That GH in English was like we pronounced it like that. So, enug, genug, right? Not very different. But the reason that we pronounce our UGHs so stupid throughout all of English, like, because we have through, we have dough, we have enough, we have cough, and I'm sure there's like one or two others that are not occurring to me right now, but it's because the French people, like, couldn't handle the sound, so either they just wouldn't deal with it, like in the word dough, Dough, or they would pronounce it like an F, like in cough or enough. That's it. That's why that doesn't make any sense. There are more examples of this, but I'm not remotely an expert on like the history of these things. They're just generally I read into them on a fairly regular basis, and these are some of the tidbits that I pick up. But it's stuff like that that I find so fascinating about language. Learning others too has taught me so much more about English. Like, I think all of us know to a point it's a ridiculous language. It's like it's chaos and anarchy, and it's, even though it is a Germanic language, like structurally I see so many more similarities between German and Spanish than I do between German and English. Like, that's how chaotic English has gotten. But the language fascinates me because of what it is. And because other languages feel very different from my own native English. It's always just so fascinating to me to hear the different sounds. Like, I am more of a writer and a reader than I am a talker, right? I don't know why I expect you to believe that, considering what I'm doing, but, like, just as far as, like, general communication goes, I'm more of a text-based person. I feel more comfortable with that, and so, yeah, like, it is important to me that I speak Spanish clearly enough that, a native speaker isn't going to be struggling, like, to hear me through my terrible accent or something like that. La verdad es que hablo español muy bien, pero a veces no tengo mucho confianza. So I'm just saying, the truth is I do speak Spanish perfectly well. I know that I have an English accent. I know that native speakers can hear it. And I know that I make mistakes every once in a while that they don't not make sense to a native speaker, but, like, it's kind of like when somebody with limited English is talking to you and, like, they goof on a tense and they say, like, I'm went home, right? Like, you know what they mean. They went home. Why they put am in there, I am or I'm went home, like I can't say, like it would depend upon what language they were coming, but you know what I mean, like you don't not understand them because of that. And that's just kind of like the headspace you have to put yourself in when you are using your second language is like, I'm probably going to make some mistakes. I know they can hear my accent. That's okay as long as they understand me and I can understand them. Like that's the whole point. But I do really like, I love the way German sounds. Spanish is fine. Like I have no like negative feelings about the language, but to be perfectly honest, it is one more of practicality than it is of passion for me. But since language in general, of course, fascinates me, it's something I can still be very interested in without it being my favorite language, right? So there's that. But yeah, like as far as the languages I work in, I majored in Spanish, minored in German, really just because my university didn't offer a German major. But yeah, so there's that. My university also does like a certificate program for Spanish translation and interpretation, so I did stay an extra semester after graduating to complete that. Yeah, and really, like I said, I mean, I was mainly just planning to translate documents, and I haven't done that in a while just because it's hard and it's exhausting. And I rarely get, like, good offers anymore. Beyond that, like, just the whole translation industry, like, if that's the main thing you want to do, like, the amount of, like, looking for agencies and trying to get, like, experience, right, built up so you can like make a better wage, like it's I'm just glad I got back into tutoring, honestly. Like I love it so much more. It is so much easier and I'm much happier. It's more consistent work, all that stuff, plus I still get to work with language. And believe it or not, there are a lot of people who do enjoy my weird like tangents I go on about like just old English trivia and stuff like that. But anyway, I am coming up on 30 minutes. I think that I probably did better today as far as presenting on camera. I came in with more of an idea of what I wanted to talk about. I tried to make like, I mean, this isn't like crazy makeup for me, right? Like I mainly put it on because I'm going, to get a piercing and stuff, and I want to look cute. And this is this is my version of cute. I like it. So that's it mainly. Like I'm not that concerned about my appearance, but I do feel like I spoke a little bit better today. I hope I was more interesting. I'll obviously be rewatching to sort that out and just see if my estimation of that is real. And oh my god, hopefully at no point did I mute my microphone. That's gonna be a real bummer. But yeah, it's only 3:30 now, so like an hour and a half before my appointment, but probably just hang out for a bit and yeah. So, okay, like I said, at some point I will probably include the video of the piercing getting done. If I have it, if I get it taken, whatever, I will probably add it in here. But other than that, as far as video 1 goes, Ingrid is in fact not interested, but I hope to God that Ingrid will be more interested in this one today. Either way, thank you so much if you made it this far. Thank you for listening, for giving me the chance, for being here. I am just trying to take this week to week or whatever and work my way up toward making better content, right? This is literally my second video for this channel, so I'm nothing right now, like in terms of like YouTubeness, but whatever. I'm gonna ramble and never shut up. Thank you if you made it this far. I hope that I get to see you again next week.